Welcome, and thank you for joining Nutrition and Lifestyle Change for Prediabetes. Maybe you have prediabetes or you know someone close to you has been diagnosed with it. Either way, you want to learn more and know what you can do to prevent it from getting worse. I'm Barbara Barron, registered dietitian nutritionist, and also a fellow of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. I'm also known as the Family Meals Dietitian. And I'm here to encourage you to become your own MVP. Yes, your most valuable player, especially when it comes to eating healthfully. But I'm going to ask you to take a little different perspective and view those letters MVP from a different eye. As you can see, moderation, variety, and planning is what I had in mind. For moderation, make sure you're choosing right-sized portions. Have a variety of foods to diversify that nutrient portfolio of yours. And plan. A healthy eating plan will set you up for success long-term rather than short-term. So this module is created in collaboration with another registered dietitian and nutritionist, as well as certified diabetes educator, Kathy Levin. It's during this self-paced program that I will introduce you to nutrition and how it relates to diabetes and prediabetes. We're going to take a look at healthy eating, being more active, and achieving an ideal body weight. We will also look at the preparation of a recipe that features foods to help healthy blood glucose control. So this module is generously supported by MIKEY'S. You can enjoy MIKEY'S foods at every meal because they're low in sugar and low in carbohydrate. They're nutrient dense and they do taste great. You can find MIKEY'S foods at eatmikeys.com or just look for them in your local grocery store. It should be noted that the sponsor had no input in the development of the education materials. First, we'll start the session with understanding of nutrition and prediabetes. It'll be followed by a recipe review. I'll guide you through the creation of SMART goals. And SMART goals is part of that healthy eating plan. That healthy eating plan that's important to your long-term success. At the end, there'll be an evaluation, and that's to make sure that we've met our learning objectives. So my grandmother always used to tell us, if you have your health, you have everything, which pretty much summarizes this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. The first wealth is health. Our objectives for this session will be to understand that impact of nutrition and lifestyle changes and what those have on prediabetes and diabetes. You should be able to name 3 factors in order to lower your diabetic risk. You will be able to list 2 risk factors of uncontrolled blood glucose. You should be able to describe the importance of a balanced plate. And finally, I hope you gain the confidence in preparing foods that promote a healthy blood glucose level. So what is diabetes? Diabetes is when your blood glucose levels are too high. You may have already known that. And insulin plays a major role, which is a hormone, plays a major role. Insulin acts like a key to unlock that door, allowing glucose to enter the body's cells. And glucose is what feeds our cells. And it provides energy. Without that, cells are not getting the nutrition they need. The causes of diabetes include the body makes little or no insulin, or the cells in your body don't respond to the insulin that it already makes. Or it can be a combination of all of these. Now, according to 2015 statistics, we know that 30.3 million adults have diabetes. And type 2 diabetes accounts for 95% of the people who are diagnosed. The highest group of Americans with diabetes are usually 65 and older, and you may fall in that category or approach that category, maybe approaching that category. So for the sake of this session, when we discuss diabetes, I will be talking mainly about type 2 diabetes. Now let's take a look at what prediabetes is and why you should care. 84.1 million people have prediabetes. That's more than 1 out of 3 adults. What's interesting about that number is that 9 out of 10 people don't even know they have prediabetes. Therefore, it is predicted by the year 2050, 1 out of 3 people will have been diagnosed with diabetes. So why is it still a concern? Well, it puts you at the highest risk for developing type 2 diabetes and also cardiovascular disease. So that's why we should care. We'll learn more about more reasons why we should care as we go on. So because diabetes has increased over the years, the key to reversing these trends is through screening. Really, we should know your risk that's associated with nutrition and lifestyle. So refer to your handout from the American Diabetes Association. The handout that says, "Are you at risk for type 2 diabetes?" And just take a moment, pause the video to answer the 7 questions that are on that one sheet. Then once you're done, share the results with your healthcare professional and have a discussion. Now let's review some of the tests for diagnosing both prediabetes and diabetes. There are about 4. A1C is the preferred method. This measures the average glucose level over the course of 2 to 3 months. It can be done at any time of day. While you're looking at that A1C, you can refer to your handout, the A1C conversion chart. Next, fasting plasma glucose. This test is another method, and it requires you to fast overnight. No eating or drinking for 12 hours before the test. The test measures glucose levels at the time the blood is drawn which is from your vein, and then that blood is then taken to the lab where diagnostic tests are done. The tests are not done on a meter, it is done in the lab. So usually you'll have to wait for your results. The oral glucose tolerance test is another method. It also requires you to fast overnight. There's no eating or drinking 12 hours before the test begins. And at that time of testing, which is a little bit different than the fasting plasma glucose test. With the oral glucose tolerance test, when you start the testing, you will be asked to drink a solution of 75 grams of glucose dissolved in water. And here your blood is drawn fasting and then again 2 hours later. Finally, another way to diagnose diabetes and prediabetes is through tracking of symptoms in an elevated casual plasma glucose, which may be 200 milligrams per deciliter or more. With these symptoms and the glucose levels combined, your practitioner may then want to follow up with a fasting plasma glucose test and an A1C test. So those are the different tests for diagnosing prediabetes and diabetes. So what are some of the measures and values? So here are a few of those measures. For prediabetes, your fasting blood glucose or fasting plasma glucose would be between 100 and 125 milligrams per deciliter. For the oral glucose tolerance test, it will be between 140 to 199 milligrams per deciliter. That's the 2-hour value. And the A1C would range between 5.7 and 6.4%. Those three values indicate or show that you would have prediabetes. What are the lab values for diabetes? Well, the fasting blood plasma glucose level would be equal to or greater than 126 milligrams per deciliter. The 2-hour values for oral glucose tolerance tests would be above 200 milligrams per deciliter. And the A1C would be greater than or equal to 6.5%. Some of the symptoms of excessive urination or increased thirst and combination of unexplained weight loss plus the casual plasma glucose level of greater than 200 milligrams per deciliter can also contribute to the diagnosis of diabetes. Now, there are a variety of risk factors associated with diabetes. And you would be at higher risk if you have a family history of diabetes, or if you're overweight, or if you have excess body fat. Another indicator or a risk factor would be a history of gestational diabetes, which really means that you have diabetes during your term of pregnancy. Or perhaps you've had a baby weighing more than 9 pounds. That also puts you at higher risk. Race and ethnic background can also contribute to increased risk of diabetes. For example, African Americans and Asian Americans, Hispanic and Latinos, American Indians, Native Hawaiians, and other Pacific Islanders all are at increased risk for developing diabetes. Other risk factors include age. So you may be in the category of if you're 45, age 45 or older, you're also at risk. You might have high blood pressure or have a low HDL, which is the good cholesterol, or an elevated triglyceride level, or you might have all of these. All of these are risk factors for increasing your risk of getting diabetes. Polycystic ovary syndrome, also known as PCOS, also increases your risk. Having an infection or illness can contribute to the development of type 1 diabetes. If you have a larger waist size or problem sleeping, that also can contribute to your risk. Specifically, prediabetes is associated with obesity, especially around the abdomen, around that belly fat. It's also associated with high cholesterol, elevated triglycerides, again, low levels of the good cholesterol, those HDLs, plus high blood pressure. Those are all risk factors specific to prediabetes. So some people with prediabetes and diabetes actually have no symptoms. Their glucose levels are high, but they don't experience some of the other symptoms. Others do have these following symptoms. They might be more tired, fatigued. There's an increased thirst and hunger. There may have some sexual dysfunction. Frequently going to the bathroom, excessive urination, dry, itchy skin, blurred vision, unexplained weight loss, or slow healing of some wounds. Others may also experience numbness in the feet and hands, which is known as neuropathy. But there are 3 steps you can do to help delay or prevent prediabetes, and that's the good news. First, eating healthy by eating foods lower in calories, fat, and sugar, yet high in fiber, high in vitamins and minerals, and be sure to get protein. The foods can really reduce the risk of prediabetes. The actual foods that reduce the risk of prediabetes are whole grains, legumes, nuts, fruits, vegetables, yogurt, low-fat yogurt or milk, and minimally refined and processed foods. These are the foods that should make up most of your plate. At the same time, limiting high-fat red meats and sugar-sweetened beverages, because those foods tend to increase your risk of prediabetes and diabetes. So having a healthy eating plan is very important. But second, being more active is also another way to help prevent diabetes and prediabetes. So aim for 150 minutes of exercise each week, including aerobic activity, such as taking a brisk walk, and adding resistance exercise like resistance bands, yoga, or Pilates. Be sure to include frequent breaks during prolonged periods of sitting. Exercise helps improve blood glucose control, so your cells become more sensitive to insulin, so it can work more effectively and remove glucose from the blood. And as I mentioned earlier, insulin's role is to remove glucose from the blood. So exercise helps. Exercise not only lowers blood glucose, but also improves your A1C and your cholesterol levels. It also improves blood pressure. So there are many benefits to increasing activity. The third step is in order to reduce your risk of prediabetes or diabetes, is to lose weight. Achieving and maintaining a 5 to 7% weight loss is what is the goal, which is about 10 to 15 pounds if you weigh about 200 pounds. It's these three lifestyle changes that may decrease your risk of developing prediabetes or diabetes as much as 58%. And if you're older, say over the age of 60, you can decrease your risk by 71% by just following those three simple lifestyle changes. So why does it matter? Why should you care? Because the progress from pre-diabetes to diabetes, once you have diabetes, you're at greater risk for multiple complications, such as heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, and blindness. Do you believe that diabetes is a leading cause of blindness? Other complications could include kidney disease or disease of the nervous system, such as neuropathy. In fact, more than half, that is 60 to 70% of people who have diabetes experience neuropathy. Amputation is also a concern. 60% of non-traumatic lower limb amputations occur in people with diabetes. So you have health complications, then you also have the costs associated with diabetes. $327 billion is the total cost attributed to diabetes since 2017, $237 billion are from the direct medical costs, and the other $90 billion are from decreased productivity. So it all adds up. It affects our health, it affects our productivity, and it's an expensive disease or condition. So losing weight can prevent or delay getting diabetes. And as I mentioned, 5 to 7% weight loss can improve glucose control. It can also ease sleep. It can also ease your sleep problems, arthritis, and depression just by losing weight. If you have high blood pressure, losing weight can also lower your blood pressure and lower your blood cholesterol levels. Oftentimes people who gain weight, their body fat will increase. Their increased body fat then increases the insulin resistance and increases your risk of prediabetes and diabetes. And just by losing weight, you can reverse that. Research shows that 5 to 7% weight loss improves glucose control and helps prevent the onset of prediabetes and diabetes. So lifestyle changes that support healthy eating and being more active are key to promoting that moderate weight loss, either to prevent or delay the onset. It is important for you to consider your calorie needs when it comes to losing weight. Calorie needs should be adjusted based on your activity level as well as your nutrient needs. You want to promote weight loss and maintain a healthy weight. The recommendation is 1 to 2 pounds of weight over 1 week. That is a recommended rate for weight loss. No more than 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week. So please work with your credentialed nutrition professional when developing a weight loss plan. Next, be more active. There are many benefits of being more active. Just by including 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity every week, which is the optimum, you can help reduce your risk. But first, be sure to check with your physician on before you design a new activity plan. Here are some tips to help reinforce physical activity on a weekly and daily basis. So first, try and find an activity you enjoy. No use in torturing yourself, but find something you like to do and then start slowly. Find a partner or form an exercise group. Be active in 10-minute spurts and make sure you move throughout the day. Don't sit all day at the desk. Try and get up every 10 minutes, stretch, walk around a little bit. Being active helps refresh your mind, body, and spirit. Include aerobic as well as resistance exercise. So what are the benefits of exercise? Here are the top 10. First, exercise or physical activity improves your blood glucose control. It helps make your muscles more sensitive to the insulin, so your body uses glucose for energy during exercise. It also helps lower your blood pressure. It improves blood lipids. It raises those good levels of cholesterol, the HDL. Exercise may also allow you to reduce your medications, so you can lose weight and also helps you reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke. So exercise has many more benefits. You can gain energy, you'll gain energy and you'll sleep better. You'll reduce stress, anxiety, depression. Exercise builds strong bones, and it also helps you become more flexible. So those are the top 10. So what is healthy eating? What I'd like you to do next is refer to your handout, make your plate, and my balance plate, those two handouts. And take a look here. How would you fill this plate? Your plate should be balanced to meet your calorie needs and your nutrition goals. It's always good to start with a 9 to 10-inch plate, not a huge plate when you're filling up your plate with foods. This way you visually feel like you're eating more. Concentrate on adding things to your plate rather than taking foods away. For example, adding more vegetables and eating enough vegetables. Includes the foods you like. Make a list of the foods you enjoy and then make a list of foods that you would like to try in each category. Plan your meals around balancing your plate. Aim for a variety of foods. And as you can see, this balanced plate method helps control portions and encourages balance of nutrients. You can see in the graphic, half your plate is from vegetables, quarter from grains or starchy vegetables, another quarter from high-quality proteins and meats. Make sure you include fruit and dairy, and limit the fats. Make your plate a rainbow. When you're looking at fruits and vegetables, include a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables with different textures. Vegetables and fruits are high in fiber, vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. You can use fresh, frozen, or canned. If you're using canned, just rinse the vegetable to reduce the amount of sodium. When looking at your plate, aim for 3 or more servings a day of non-starchy vegetables. What are some examples of non-starchy vegetables, you'll ask? Asparagus, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, celery, cucumbers, leafy greens, tomatoes, mushrooms, onions, all are examples of non-starchy vegetables. Aim for 3 or more a day. As far as fruits, aim for 2 to 4 servings of fruits a day, choosing fresh, frozen, or canned. If canned, be sure it's packed in its own water or in water or its own juice. For example, fresh apples, apricots, blueberries, grapes, oranges, and strawberries. Because juice doesn't have fiber and may cause your blood sugar to increase, limit juices to 4 ounces and make sure it's 100% fruit juice. Make a quarter of your plate from grains or starchy vegetables. Whole grains specifically contain phytonutrients and antioxidants, and those who eat 3 or more servings of whole grains a day have also been shown to reduce their risk of prediabetes and diabetes by as much as 21 to 27%. So aim for 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. In some ways to increase fiber would be eating potatoes with the skin, including fresh fruits and vegetables, and when possible, include the skin. Eating whole grain crackers, cereal, pasta, and breads. Some examples of whole grains are brown rice, whole grain pasta again, quinoa, or popcorn. Popcorn that would be air popped is better because you're limiting the amount of fat. Starchy vegetables also have fiber and phytonutrients. Some examples of starchy vegetables are corn, green peas, white or sweet potatoes, again with the skin for more fiber. Some starchy vegetables also include pumpkin or winter squash, like acorn or butternut squash. So as we continue to fill our plate with fruit, vegetables, and a quarter of whole grains and starchy vegetables, let's look at protein. The other quarter of our plate should consist of lean meats like chicken, fish, or lean cuts of beef and pork. Eggs or egg whites are all good sources of protein. And some specifically animal-based protein foods include, again, eggs, egg whites, fish, seafood like cod, shrimp, salmon, and catfish. Lean ground beef, lean ground turkey or chicken that's ground without the skin. Some plant-based proteins include legumes, dried beans, lentils, chickpeas, or soy foods like tofu and tempeh. Meat substitutes or meat analogs like veggie burgers is another way to get protein on your plate. Nuts and nut butters are also plant-based sources of protein. And if you like, you could try the powdered peanut butter to save some fat and calories, if you like the taste. Some other tips for rounding out your plate which will include 2 servings of plain or low-fat, non-fat milk, cheese, or yogurt. Getting an adequate amount of dairy. Now, for those who are dairy-free or actually, if you're lactose-free, then you can still have lactose-free milk, cheese, or yogurt. If you're dairy-free and you're only eating plant-based foods, you can consider fortified plant-based milk alternative like soy or almond milk. Now, almond milk is lower in protein than soy, and just to be aware of that. To continue to round out your plate, include beverages that are low or no calories. So choose water or sparkling water, or coffee or teas without sugar. Avoid sweetened beverages like soda, sweet teas, and sugary coffee drinks. Limit candy, cookies, ice cream, and processed snacks. Avoid foods that are high in fat, like creamy salad dressings or deep fried foods. Some more tips in making meals more enjoyable. Try and remake some of your favorite dishes by making small tweaks, giving a recipe a new twist or a healthy twist, without sacrificing flavor, of course. So choose low-fat cheese with a strong flavor, such as feta or Parmesan. Just a little bit of cheese will add a lot of flavor. Go for a variety of flavors and textures, colors, and scents. You can get that with adding vegetables, nuts, leafy greens, eat again from the rainbow, beets, deep red vegetables, red bell peppers, green bell peppers, adding herbs to enrich the scent and flavor of foods. Cook veggies until they're al dente or tender to the tooth, just so that they're bright and crisp. Dress up fruits with some herbs and spices and low-fat dressing. Try lemon juice or flavored vinegars. Grilling or roasting vegetables and meat are also great for flavor. And remember, shop, cook, and eat with friends and family. Eating shouldn't be a chore. It should be a fun, healthy experience, and a time to enjoy and break bread with your friends and family and have great conversation. Next, important to track your food and activity. Tracking food intake and minutes of your activity every day can help you prevent or delay prediabetes and diabetes. It really does set you up for success. If you record your exercise minutes and what you're eating, use a food log. You can also try smartphone apps or computer apps like MyFitnessPal, Lose It, or Nutritionix. Nutritionix. Or you can just use a paper tracker or a notebook, whatever works for you, whatever you will be consistent with. Here are some tips to be consistent when tracking eating and exercise. First thing, make time to track. It really only takes a couple of minutes after each meal to track what you've eaten. The amount, where you've eaten, how you feel, whether you were hungry, calm. Remember why you're tracking. You're tracking your foods to make sure that you have a balanced plate. Make it part of your daily routine. And if it helps, you can set a calendar reminder or a Post-it note in your bathroom mirror, just to remind yourself, make sure you track your food and activity intake. Give yourself a small reward for meeting your activity goals, but don't use food as a reward. Go for a brisk walk. Or if you can afford it, buy something that you've been looking forward to. A new shirt, new pair of pants. And it's always helpful to have an accountability partner. So ask for support from a friend or a family member. Now, let's review today's recipe. We're not going to do the cooking demonstration live, but we are going to take a look at the lemon dill hummus recipe that's also in your handout. You have two recipes. One is the chicken street tacos and this lemon dill hummus. And I point out the hummus because it's a great fiber-packed food. When you're eating hummus, you can add vegetables. Vegetables are an excellent way to eat hummus with and increase your fiber intake, as well as other great nutrients that your body needs. Hummus is actually made from garbanzo beans, which are chickpeas, and they have a low glycemic index, which really means that they don't elevate your blood sugar too high. And that is in part due to the fact that they're high in fiber. Hummus also contains tahini. Tahini is made from ground sesame seeds, which is rich in phosphorus, lecithin, magnesium, potassium, and iron. So making your own hummus is a great way, an easy way to get some protein and fiber into your eating plan. Making your own, in some ways, is better than some store-bought varieties because some of the store-bought varieties use lower quality oils to keep the cost down. But either way, whether you make it or buy it, you can't go wrong. Here are some culinary tips to use hummus outside of using it as a dip. You can use it as a spread for wraps or sandwiches. You can mix it into a salad dressing to make it creamier. You can add lemon to this recipe, which it already has lemon, but it adds pop and brightness of flavor to the recipe. Keeping canned beans in your pantry at all times is really a great way and an affordable way to have some affordable protein that's shelf stable, ready to go when you need to cook. So it really is a great go-to protein, high fiber food. Add a variety of herbs to add more fresh flavor to hummus or to some of your other cooking recipes. So if you don't like the dill in this recipe, you can try parsley, basil, cilantro, or chives. You can also add a jar of roasted peppers for a pop of color to the hummus recipe. Now let's review a couple of the SMART goals that I had promised, that I want to encourage you to take initiative and create your own SMART goal. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So specific, that's something that you can identify with, that you can measure the time frame that you're going to work on that goal. Something that's attainable and achievable. Do you have the foods on hand to make whatever it is that you're going to your goal? Let's create a goal, an example of a goal. So I am going to make lemon dill hummus this week is an example of a SMART goal. It's specific, as I say that I'm going to make the lemon dill hummus. This week it's time bound. So it is measurable. It's relevant because I happen to like hummus and I like it as a snack. And it is attainable for me, and it could be attainable for you because I do have chickpeas in my cabinet and I have tahini dressing in my cabinet. So this becomes a very specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound goal. SMART. Another example would be, I'm going to increase my vegetable intake. And I'm going to make sure that I have half my plate filled with vegetables at lunch and dinner. That's a SMART goal. So those are two examples of SMART goals. I'd like you to take some time to use the handout and create your own SMART goal. Just make sure it's specific, something that you can measure, something that you can achieve. Put a time frame, whether it's a week, a daily goal, a monthly goal, and make it relevant to your lifestyle. Now, let's review the objectives from the day or from the session. Can you name the 3 main factors in lowering diabetes risk? I'll give you a moment. There is an evaluation at the end of this session, and I hope that you fill that out so I can see whether we've met our learning objectives. But for now, can you name the 3 main factors in lowering diabetes risk? If you said healthy eating, being more active, and losing weight, you're correct. Let's move to the next. Can you list 2 risks of uncontrolled blood glucose? Now, if you said heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, blindness, or neuropathy, or amputation, you're also correct. And finally, can you describe a balanced plate for preventing prediabetes and diabetes? Remember, a balanced plate can help you meet your calorie and nutrient goals and help reduce your risk of developing or delaying diabetes. What is a balanced plate? Balanced plate would include half your plate being vegetables and fruit, a quarter whole grains, a quarter of your plate lean protein, 2 servings of dairy, and limiting your fats. So there, we're at the end of our presentation, and I encourage you to reach out to me or your nutrition professional to determine how you can meet those health goals. If you would like a free 20-minute discovery call, you can contact me at either Barbara at my email, barbara@barbarabarron.com, or call me at 908-670-7356, and we can set something up. If you're looking for diabetic meal plans, you can also try a 1-day trial by visiting this website below, www.livingplateRx.com/Barbara/diabetes/sign-up. With that, you can also follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Twitter. I'll put that back up for you to look at. You can stop and pause, look at your handouts, go back and review the session over again. And I look forward to working together.